Hey everybody, welcome back to Fatty's Barbecue. I'm Eric Cantu. Here we go. Let's just dive right in. Today we're cooking. Yes, we're cooking again. It's time for a massive, massive brisket. Alright guys, I know it's been a while. We've been doing maintenance and upkeep on the IBS. I've been showing you how to set it up, but honestly, it's been too long since I've done a video on a cook. Alright, so you can't see it right now, but we've got it set up. We've got the brisket, the scale, and a fan over here trying to keep the flies away. There's a lot of flies out here for whatever reason. And if you've seen that Instagram video where it says put pennies on the table, it keeps the flies away, it doesn't work. We tried it, I put a ton of pennies, flies were still around. So hopefully we're gonna try our best to keep the flies out of the shot. All right, so you know me, I'm always gonna be a little extra with things. I've got the scale out here. We're gonna weigh the brisket first, see where we're at. We're gonna weigh it after we trim it, see how much trimmings we took off of it. And then we're gonna weigh it when it comes out the pit, all right? And the reason for that is I know with me, I had a hard time at the very beginning knowing how much meat, servable meat, I'm gonna have for each cook. It took me a lot of cooks to figure out, okay, this is about how much weight. If I'm gonna have, you know, if I'm cooking a 17-pound brisket, maybe I'm only ending up with 10 pounds of meat because it all renders out and the trimmings and all that stuff. So we're just gonna help you all out with that in case there's anybody out there that needs that. Hey, we'll add it to this video. All right, I forgot to weigh it. I just told you I was gonna weigh it and I forgot to weigh it. So here we go, 23.53 pound brisket before it's trimmed. All right, here we go, put it back over here. There we go. And it's gonna be a pain to keep these flies away. Hopefully y'all don't get too grossed out. But it is what it is at this point. So it's gonna look a little weird when I trim it because I'm gonna be trimming it towards me. I tried it before, try to trim to the camera, and it's just kind of hard. So I'm just gonna trim the way I normally trim, and I hope you guys can see it. And let me let y'all know, I've been doing this for what, 6 years, maybe more than 6 years as far as making videos and whatnot, and doing my catering and all that stuff. And I'm still not a very good trimmer. So please don't judge me. I know some of y'all are a lot better. I know some of y'all have a great technique when it comes to trimming, how much to trim off, all that good stuff. I will not claim to be a pit master or anything like that. I am not a pit master. I just love to cook and I love to share what I do with everybody. So for me, I just try to take off all the stuff that I think will not render, and like this part I know is not going to render, but if I go too deep, it goes all the way through, right? If I go too deep, I'm gonna create too big of a divot. But I try to get as much as I can of this guy right here, because I do not like this part. All right. And if you can, it's always better to trim these briskets when they're colder. Obviously not frozen, but colder, okay? And then what I do, you can't really see it, but on this side, I cut a straight edge, and I'll take some of the meat off as well to try to make it more straight. But it's also a cheating tool for me because you can see how I cut it straight, right? You see where I cut it straight, but now I can cheat and see where is my actual meat and how much can I actually cut off of it. So this right here tells me I can cut quite a bit off, okay? That I've got the meat just like right here, and then I've got quite a bit that I'm gonna have to cut, because remember, we just want about 1/4 of an inch on there. So that's my cheating way. Yeah, I cut some meat off, which is, well, anyway, you can see I didn't really cut that much meat, but sometimes I'll have a big chunk of meat on this part that I cut off, and that tells me, okay, Eric, don't trim that much because you got a pretty big, you know, flat there that you don't want to mess up. So anyway, that's what I got going on. That right there could be used for some sausage, but I'm not making any sausage. So again, it's preference on where you want to go. I know the rule of thumb is about 1/4 inch of fat that you want to leave on there. You know, there's the meat right there. And just ask yourself, you know, if you're gonna eat this brisket, do you want that much fat or do you want less fat than that, you know? So some people like a little less fat. And like me and my cousins, I mean, you can kind of see us. We obviously like the fatty brisket. So I'm gonna sharpen this knife again. It's starting to get a little dull. Yeah, these flies are a pain in the butt. I usually like to do this inside, but today was a nice day outside. I wanted to do it outside, but then I forgot. Tons of flies out here. No, I don't like this hard fat, so I don't mind exposing the meat right there. Hey, watch what you say. I don't mind exposing the brisket right there because this fat was really hard. It's not like this one was real soft. This will probably render down. This right here is a little soft. Right here is pretty hard. So I'm gonna try to take just anything that's more hard. The fat that's harder, I try to take that off, but I'm not gonna take much more than that off. This is gonna render down nicely. Maybe a little bit of this. That's it. That's pretty much it there. This right here is pretty thin, so this is gonna burn, so I'm gonna cut this part off right here. Right, yeah, it's a lot of meat. You could use that for sausage if you want. Pretty solid. I'm probably gonna take out a little bit of that, just a little bit, because that's just a big chunk of fat. Definitely is not gonna render out, and it makes it taste gross when you got too much of it in there. So what I do is I'll lay the brisket on itself in that spot. So what I do is I kind of push the brisket down like that. I know this is butchered. A lot of y'all are being like, oh my God, what? Eric, what in the world did you do to that brisket? Trust me, I'm not the best. I've done hundreds of briskets, hundreds and hundreds of briskets, and I know I'm not the best, you know? And it would be nice to learn, you know, from some pit masters out there. But right now, I just kind of do what I do. And I like the way it comes out. It tastes good, it still tastes good. You know, is it competition style? Absolutely not. It's not competition style. But it's still a good brisket. Like right here is pretty hard. I know I'm gonna end up regretting this, but I'm gonna cut some of this out. I don't like that hard stuff in there. Because I notice afterwards when we eat, it's just too much fat. And it steals all the seasoning and the bark and all that stuff. It steals it. There we go. So that's better right there. Ah, get away, fly. Anything like this, I cut off because I don't want it to burn and crisp off. I don't want no burn parts on there. Trying to keep the flies away. Had to change the gloves real quick. But as you can see right here, we're trimmed. This is about all we're going. Again, guys, I know it's not the best trim. I know some of you, I hope, are not offended by the way I trim, but this is the best that I do. This is what I know. Again, I will never, ever claim to be a pit master. Never. I just love to cook, and I love the barbecue. And so far, we've had some great results, and honestly, it's the cooker. It's not me. But anyway, if you look, I've already finished trimming it, and we started off at 23 something. How many pounds was it, Eric? Do you remember? Like 24 pounds. We'll go back and look at the video and I'll put it up there how much it actually was. If we look over here, take a look. You're at about 7.107-ish, right? About 7 pounds worth of fat that we took off, right? So that's like a 16-pound cook right now. 16 to whatever. We'll do some math later. Again, this is 7.08. I'll say 7.08, and then we'll go back in the footage and look at this, and I'll put the numbers actually on there on the screen for you guys to see. But this is about a 16-pound brisket that's gonna get cooked. Then it's gonna render out. What is it gonna be at, right? We don't know. So we're gonna do that afterwards. But right now, it's Boulder's time. As you guys know, I love using Boulder's brisket rub, guys. This stuff is awesome. I love the way it tastes. I'm not a huge salt and pepper guy. I don't like, I mean, yeah, I know I'm from Texas, but I really don't like the Texas style. This is a little bit sweeter taste to it. It's not super sugary or nothing like that, but it's just got a really good taste to it. So now, time to season it up. Oh shoot, I gotta move the fan because we're gonna lose all of our seasoning. So I really gotta make sure I keep these flies away. So I give it a really good liberal coat of this stuff. Just put it all on there. It should all turn red, right? But be careful, it takes a little finessing because you could put too much of this stuff and it does get really salty, okay? So you gotta be careful. So I like putting it on the edges here, put it on the edge here, all the way down. Get off me, fly. All right. And I go different directions too. Like I'll come this way once, and then I'll come this way another time. And then I'll pat it in. Because I don't want it to be too clumpy, because if it gets too clumpy, well then that's your salty spots, right? You don't want that. All right, so now I'm just looking for spots that I might have missed. It's all nice and red. It's in there. Some spots that are missed are okay. I always do this to pat it down. Yeah, I get some on the gloves or whatever, but I do this to make sure that there's no mounds of it, that it's kind of pushed in there, because it is salty. If you put, let's say like this, right? Let's say I have a big chunk like that and I left that like that, that's gonna be, it's gonna cook, it's gonna form the bark, but then it's gonna be a big salty chunk, right? So I push it off and I just kind of mash it to make sure it's nice and even all the way around. I don't want those big mounds on there. And make sure it's in there, right? Just kind of spread it around in there. And that's it, guys. 7-ounce bottle. I used almost all of it here. I told you I was gonna leave a little bit in there. If you use the whole bottle, it's gonna be too salty. If you use less than half, you don't have enough seasoning. Okay, so that's about it. This is awesome stuff, guys. All right, it's time to put this brisket in, guys. Remember, I like to do fat side up. After all these cooks, I finally figured out why I do fat side up, okay? And I'm gonna let you guys know the reason for it is, before I thought it was because it was fat, it renders down, it goes into the meat, all that. That was just in my head, right? It's not scientifically proven. But what I do know is that I really do like the taste of the fat when there's bark on it, okay? When you've got the bark formed nice and neat, nice and mahogany colored over this fat side, it gives you a nice, juicy, just a candy taste. Because yes, you get bark on the flat side, you will get bark on the bottom, yes. But as soon as you lift it off, you're ruining some of that bark on the bottom side. So I like the way the bark tastes against the fat. So if I put it fat side down, well, I'm losing the bark on that fat side, and I do not want to do that. I really want to save the flavor, so that's why I do this, to maximize the amount of bark that's going to be on this tastier part of that brisket. Anyway, closing it up, that's it. 225 degrees, guys. Again, every brisket is different. I can't say I'm going to cook this for 12 hours or 14 or 16 or 18, because we really don't know. It's totally up to that brisket. I'm going to check it at 160 degrees though, not because it's done, but because I want to make sure it's not drying out. I've got those pans in there on the bottom, those water pans, to keep the bark nice and moist. You don't want it super wet. You don't want this temperature to spike to 300 or higher, because it's going to boil your water, creating steam, and it's going to mess up your bark. You want to have it at 225, 275 is your max, maybe 250 is where I feel comfortable, but 225 is where we're at. We let it go, we have that moisture in there. If I check it at 160 degrees and I notice it's, you know, looking kind of dark, I also check the water pans, because the water will evaporate. Put more water in there, make sure it keeps water. But if there is water in there and they're still full and it's still looking kind of dry, then I'm gonna have to wrap it, because I don't want black bark, charry bark on there, because that's where it tastes gross. You want that nice mahogany color on there, okay? But if I go check it about 160 and it's looking good, I just top off the water again, close her back up, and I let it go till I hit 190. Now, once I hit 190, it doesn't mean I'm done. I come out with the probe and I start testing it for doneness. If it goes in like butter, then it's done at 190 and whatever time it took. If it's still kind of tense in the flat and the point, I let it ride, and I'll go to about 194, 193, and then I'll check it again. And if it's butter at that point, that's when it comes off, okay? I don't ever wrap the brisket unless I absolutely have to, and it's starting to look like a char and it's getting dry. I'll wrap it with butcher paper. Other than that, I think maybe I've wrapped 1 or 2 briskets in my entire career, kneading it, right? Kneading it, and it saved the brisket. Otherwise, when I have left some when they're charred, you mess up the brisket. I've ruined my fair share of briskets. So I'm just trying to give you a little bit of feedback of what I do. Hopefully it helps you out. So that way you're not too worried, man, what should I do? Should I wrap it? Should I not wrap it? Hey man, just have fun with it. We're smoking, right? We're smoking barbecue brisket. That's what it's all about, having some fun. So anyway, this guy's gonna sit here, 225 degrees, however long it takes. And we'll see you when we're at the next point. Okay, it is now 12:29 at night, and the temperature of the brisket internally was reading, if you can see that, 164. You kind of see it, 164. I'll put a screenshot on it. 164, and you can see we're still at about 225 from the tell true gauge. But let's take a look, and we're going to take a look at the bark. Still got a good smoke going on. Oh yeah, it's looking good. I don't know if you can see that or not. See if I can kind of shine down from the top. It's looking good. It's not looking like it's drying out. We still have water in the pans, like I told y'all. Right? You can see it's going down a little bit, so I'm going to put more water in these pans here because overnight I don't want it to go away. So we're looking good. Looking good. Right now, I'm going to close up and we'll get the water hose ready, and I'm going to pour a little, or actually I'm just going to go get a pitcher of water, and I'm going to pour some more water in there, and that's about it. Because it's looking that nice mahogany color. It is looking pretty good. I don't know if y'all can see it, but yeah, that's it. 160. I don't need to wrap it. If it was looking black, really black, yes, then I would wrap it up, you know, with some butcher paper. But I don't see that being a problem right now. I still have water in there. The temperature has been pretty stable the whole way through. It's maybe gone down just a little bit, but gone up sometimes a little bit, but I think that's when it's catching a new little piece of wood on fire every once in a while. But anyway, I'm gonna go get a pitcher of water, pour some water in there, and that's it. We're gonna wait till that thing gets to about 190. We'll check it again and see where the tenderness is. But yeah, let's see what happens. Water in there. Pour some in that one. And that was about 8 cups of water. So you can see, kind of filled it up there again. Not too bad. I'll probably put another, maybe another 8 cups. I'll put 4 and 4 in there. Like I said, brisket's looking really good. If we can see that. There it is. All right, let's close her up and get some more water. Good morning everybody. It is now 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Brisket got on at 3 o'clock yesterday is when we were able to finally get it put in. So that means it's been on for about 17 hours, okay? So 17-hour cook. It's rocking and rolling so far, but it is at 190 now, okay? So 190, this is what we're gonna start checking. Where are we at? Right here. We're gonna start checking for doneness, right? So get this little probe. I'm not checking for temperature. What I'm checking for is tenderness, okay? Does it go in like butter, or is it going to be tense? If it's still tense, we need to let it keep going for a little bit longer. If it's like butter, then we're going to go ahead and get the foil, set it up. I'm going to put it in the foil, wrap it, and just let it rest. It is going to be time to rest it. Here it is. Let's get in here. Let's get in here. Let's get y'all close and personal with this brisket. And you see all these probes, that's from that test I'm running here, right? So let's go ahead and get this guy pulled out here so we can see what's going on right there. I think y'all can see that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the probe. Let's see where we're at. Okay, it is coming in on the flat, pretty soft. Ooh, look, that went in like butter there. That's like butter. Let's try the back part. Yeah, you can see it's going in pretty soft, pretty easily. Maybe a little tense back here, but I think this is almost done, guys. If I put it right in the middle, it's still showing 189, but I mean, look, it is going in pretty soft. I think this brisket is done, but right here, I don't know if you can see. We cannot see that. Let me bring it down just a smidge so y'all can see this here. Right here, it is a little more tense. But if you see a little bit more here, how it just goes right in, right? This right here especially, just whoop, whoop, goes in. So I think I'm gonna leave it just a little bit more, because right here it feels tense. Even though it says it's 195 right here, it still feels a little tense. This is 193 right here. It's a little tense right here in this area, okay? Back here, it's a smidge tense, but I know right here it is nice and soft. So we are right there. I don't even think we're gonna be 30 minutes away, you know. So I'm gonna put this back in here, okay? I don't want to overcook it because I don't want it falling apart. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and check what the actual temperature is to see. Maybe we're over 190 on this side. Yeah, 191, 192. This one says 195. Right here where we're in, that's 195-ish. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're gonna close this up, put this away here, and you can see the water level has gone down, right? Let me bring this down here so you can see a little bit. All right, try to help you guys out. All right, bear with me here. So you see that water level has gone down. So if I would not have refilled it, it would have been completely, you know, dry, and then we would have got a lot more char. But you can see this bark is looking really good, okay? A little mahogany color on there. I don't know if the GoPro is giving it justice. Okay, so it is now 7:05, and so like you said, it's been on for about 17 hours, and I think it's almost done. If anything, I'm gonna give it maybe 20 more minutes, 25 more minutes, and I'll come check it again, because it's right on that cusp. Some spots are just really where I want it, and the flat part, it's a little tense, but not as tense as, you know, I've had it before at 190. So it is almost done. I don't want to go too long and say, well, let me give it another hour, because then we're going to end up getting that crumbly, you know, a crumbly brisket, right? Which will still taste good, but we don't want it too crumbly. We want it to be a nice, you know, solid piece. We're not cooking competition today or nothing like that, so, but I do want a nice piece that stays together, has a good pull on it, right? So I think it's pretty much done right now. I'm gonna give it just about 20 more minutes. You can see my brain is clicking right now, right? My calculations are going, because I don't want to overcook it. But the way I felt it on that one is I'm right in that middle. It's like right there. So that's why if you see I look a little confused, I'm just like, it's right there. Should I pull it? Should I not? So I'm gonna give it 20 minutes, and we're gonna see where we're at, because it says it's at 190.5 where I have the probe in, but some other spots it said 195, right? Other spots said it was like 189, you know, right around there. So I'm just gonna let it go a little, just 20 more minutes, guys. I know I'm rambling, but 20 more minutes. I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna feel it again, and I'm gonna get the foil ready and all that, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out. Probably, most likely at that time, I'm gonna pull it out, wrap it, and then we're gonna let it rest for at least 4 hours. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 11, 12 o'clock, we're gonna be ready to eat this thing by 1, 2 o'clock. When we're, you know, when everybody's here, we're gonna be ready to eat at 1 or 2 o'clock. So perfect timing. It is now 7:30, okay? But if you look, this thing is going in like butter, right? This brisket is ready. I got a little tenseness down here, but I'm not worried about this right here, because the most part, all of it is just going in really easy, okay? So we got to pull this guy out. Where is my glove? This is always the fun part, and sometimes the nerve-wracking part, because it's such a big brisket, and you're like, don't drop it, right? And if I do drop it, you guys are gonna see it on camera. My big handy dandy spatula here that's worked wonders. I'll put that up there, move this over. Moment of truth. Here we go. There we go. And put this guy on that foil right there. Get this close back up. So we take a look. To me, the bark looks good. Look how jiggly this guy is. This guy is awesome. Again, look, it's just going in Nice and easy, 2 fingers on that guy, right? And look, even it's saying 188 right here, right? And I'm all the way through. So again, temperature, you know, I check it in at 190, sometimes like 192 right there, right? So again, I know some people say just cook it till it gets to, you know, 203 degrees or whatever. I don't do that. I check it because, you know, it's all about the tenderness. See, it is really, really good. But let's get this wrapped up. And that's it. Alrighty. All right, so that's it. 7:33 on the dot right now. This brisket is out. So that big old 24-pound prime brisket took, oh, what is that, 17.5 hours to cook. 17.5 hours at 225 degrees. Now it's time to let it rest at least 4 hours. Most likely it's gonna go 5 hours, right? But I gotta get this put in the oven to keep it insulated. If I leave it out like this, it's gonna cool down too quick. I just wanna put it in the oven without the oven being on. I'm just gonna put it in there and close it because the oven's insulated. I don't have a proofer yet, right? I would love to have a holder slash proofer, but I need to buy me one of those, right? Those are a little bit on the expensive side, but I want to get me one of those so that way I could put multiple briskets and just let them sit there, you know, at about 140 or something to keep them at temp. But right now, this is just going to go in the oven. If you don't have room in your oven or anything like that, you can use an ice chest, put a towel in there, put the brisket in there, close it, and just let it rest. But this is the important part. Let it rest. I know it smells good. I know you want to slice into it right now, but don't do it. Hold yourself back because those muscles, everything in there, that muscle is just super tight right now, those fibers. And as soon as you cut it, it's going to just, juice is going to go everywhere, which is awesome. It's going to look cool, but then it's going to dry out super quick and it's not going to be good. Okay, so let it rest. Just leave it alone. Put it in the oven and just let it go for at least 4 hours. I mean, you can do 2 hours and get away with it if you have to, you know, but to me, the 4 hour mark is the magic mark, you know. So anyway, I hope this has helped you guys out, and we're gonna come back when we're ready to slice this thing. Hopefully I remember. All right, so as you can see, we've got 9.79 pounds of servable meat now. So that's a huge difference, right? So when you are, you know, selecting your briskets and you're going to cook, we got to take into accountability, right? Obviously all the fat you're going to trim off, and then what renders down, right? So when I put this in the IVS, I believe we were close to 16 pounds, you know, brisket when we put it inside, and now we're at 9.79, right? So not quite half, but it's pretty close to half sometimes of the brisket that you're going to lose. So I always just calculate about half, right? Even though you get a little bit more out of that. But yeah, just wanted to show you where we're at, so this maybe help you guys out. So now let's check to see if we were to charge, I don't know, 32 bucks a pound, right? That's about what you see out there some places at $32 a pound. This brisket right now would be worth $313 of, you know, food. I mean, granted, you're gonna go a little bit less, but let's say $300 worth of brisket right here, right? Now some people, you know, charge, I don't know, 22, 23 bucks a pound, right? 23 bucks a pound on the low end, right? Put that in there. Obviously you're at about $225 worth of meat right here. Now granted, we're gonna lose some chop and stuff and some extra fat that we're gonna cut out as we go, but you can say probably 200 bucks, right? And that's a low price. That's a great price for brisket if you could find it for 23 bucks a pound. I have not found it anywhere in San Antonio at that price. Everywhere I'm looking, it's 23 bucks. It'll say like 20 bucks for a half pound of brisket. So we're closer to 40. I've seen them for 36, 35, $32. Nothing under 30 have I seen at these really good barbecue restaurants. So you know, for this home cooking style, unfortunately brisket prices have just gone through the roof. You know, and it is what it is. You got to pay, you got to charge, you know, what you're worth, and you got to be able to make your money back. You know, when you're providing these services, it's unfortunate. I would love to provide this, you know, super cheap to everybody, but man, it's just tough. You can't. I mean, you'll run yourself out of business if you do that. So anyway, just wanted to kind of give y'all a heads up, show you what it looks like. I got to get this thing in the oven, okay? We got to let it rest for 4 hours, and then I'll come back when it's time to cut it up, and hopefully the results are good. All right, guys. All right, guys, so the brisket's been resting for over 5 hours. Now it's time to cut it and see how we did. It smelled really good. Oh yeah. You see that there? Check this out, guys. Look at that. That is looking really, really good. A nice mahogany color. It is still nice and warm. I'm gonna try not to get these flies on it, but hey, let's just cut right into it, okay? Gonna go right down the middle. All right, here we go. I don't have my brisket knife. I left it at my in-laws' house. Let's open it up. There we go. That looks yummy. Give it a little press. It does not feel overcooked. Sometimes when it's overcooked, when you push it here, it'll like crumble, stuff like that. So that looks really good. I'm gonna put this one in here, cover it up. We're gonna come on this side here. That looks good. And what I'm gonna actually do, I'm trying to get these flies out of the way. I'm gonna cut. We ready to cut, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. One. It'd be nice if I had my brisket knife. There's two. There's three. That looks really, really yummy, right? Pulls right apart. Let me do the actual test over here. Let's cut one big slice right here. Right? That's a nice looking piece of brisket. But there we go. Let me take this part off here. Let me cut it. I don't want to mess it. I don't want that fat right there. Get away. So that looks pretty darn good to me. Let me try the pull. Pulled pretty good. This one's not going to pull too great because this is cut against the grain, but it still does a really good job. But so we're going to try the lean. Here we go. Let's try it out. That is tender, guys. Look at this right here. Look at that mahogany, like a candy. See that little stickiness coming right there? Yeah. Let's go. Let's try this out right here. I got little Hazel over here. Take a bite, baby girl. Let me know what you think. That is wonderful, guys. So that's it. I'm sorry. I'm having a ball. I'm having a blast eating this brisket. It came out really, really good. 17 and a half hours of a cook at 225 in the IVS. Look at that. Boulder's brisket rub. Came out awesome right here, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been a long time since we did a cook. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Fatty's BBQ.